Good morning, students. Today we are going to continue with our textbook and the information provided for us regarding the American Revolution. So great job with completing the timeline project, the bibliography, the cause and effect handout, and then also the voice recording for your timeline. So really nice work with that. So the American Revolution, from what you recall from your cause and effect handout and your timeline, is a war that had many different battles. And today we want to start on chapter 4, and that's the cover that you're looking at right now. Chapter 4 begins on page 108 in your textbook. Yes, you're going to need your textbook, so please locate it. All right, so take a look at page 108, and that's the cover that you see on display right now. Notice that there's several sections we're going to cover. Section 1, the revolution begins. Section 2, declaring independence. The Declaration of Independence. So yes, we are going to be doing work with primary sources of the Declaration of Independence. Then there's the Section 3, the struggle of liberty, and Section 4, the independence from Great Britain. But for today, we're going to focus on Section 1, the revolution begins. So the Stamp Act, the Sugar Act, the Quartering Act, the Intolerable Acts, all these laws, we're just building anger and momentum and reasons for the cause of the American Revolutionary War. So today we're going to focus on looking at that section and identifying two things that occurred during the time when the colonists were deciding how to move forward, whether or not they would have the war or not have the war. So we're going to be reading main ideas for two different events. Everyone should have received this handout, this graphic organizer, and it's titled Main Idea and Supporting Details. At the center, you have Main Idea. You're going to need to write inside the center, First Continental Congress. It's double-sided, so please on one side write First Continental Congress, and on the other side of your graphic organizer, Second Continental Congress. You're going to see the graphic organizer has details. Why? Well, turn over to your next page in your textbook. It's going to look like this. Here it comes. Main Ideas in Social Studies. That's page 110. I'm going to read it out loud. Please follow. Focus on reading. When you are reading, it is not always necessary to remember every tiny detail of the text. Instead, what you want to remember are the main ideas, the most important concepts around which the text is based. Identifying main ideas. Most paragraphs in history books include main ideas, and this is true. Sometimes the main idea is stated clearly in a single sentence. Other times the main idea is suggested, not stated. However, that idea still shapes the paragraph's content and the meaning of all the facts and details in it. So when you read social studies textbooks or any book really with information like social studies or science, those books tend to have a main idea and details to support that main idea, or details to further explain that main idea. So today we're going to look at the First Continental Congress because this is one very important event that took place and led up to the many reasons why the colonists decided to figure out a way to avoid a war. So that's on page 112. So right now you should be on page 112 and you should have this graphic organizer in front of you with the First Continental Congress written in the center. I'm going to start reading. Follow along as I read from your textbook, our textbook, First Continental Congress. To many colonists, the closing of Boston Harbor was the final insult in a long list of abuses. In response to the mounting crisis, all the colonies except Georgia sent representatives to a meeting in October 1774. This meeting, known as the First Continental Congress, was a gathering of colonial leaders who were deeply troubled about the relationship between Great Britain and its colonies in America. So please continue to read the rest of the short paragraph. It ends here at this point. And then on your graphic organizer, write 4 details, okay, that stand out for you as important about the First Continental Congress. Then move on to the second part of the reading, which is the Second Continental Congress. It looks like this. It's on page 114. Read this section. It's not that long. It ends here. And this is about the Second Continental Congress and what it's about. So, on the back side of your graphic organizer, do the same thing. Second Continental Congress, read this section, and in the detail circles, write down 4 things that are important details for this main idea of the Second Continental Congress. You're going to need to make sure you have this graphic organizer completed so that you're able to do the second part of the assignment. That's all for today. If you have any questions, I will be walking around in class to assist you. This graphic organizer will be due by Friday at the end of